Welcome to Primetime Alberta Sports Show. I'm your host, Andrew Greenall. Welcome back for another edition. Today we are talking with players that play for the Alberta Lacrosse group. Our guests this evening are Darrel Knight, Caden, Pickell, and Ella. I'm not even going to try to pronounce her last name because she keeps getting mad at me in the backstage, the green room. She threw a ball at my head and it really hurts. But stay tuned. We're going to ask them some questions, get to know them a little bit more, and hopefully be able to answer some of your questions about lacrosse. Won't you join us now? Guys, welcome to the show. Thanks very much for hanging out with me this evening. Let's just go around the globe and introduce ourselves. Let's start in the bottom. Ella, go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us who you're playing for and, your hobbies. Go right ahead.
I'm Ella. I play for Shore Park Titans, and I don't really have any hobbies. I play hockey too.
Nice, that's good. Caden, what do you do, bud?
I play with the Calgary Axemen, and as well, I play hockey, and that is really my hobby, as it takes up majority of my time.
Awesome. Darrel, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. So, Darrel Knight, I'm the Director of Marketing Communications for Alberta Lacrosse Association, and my hobby, I like to spend time coaching these guys. I'm also the head coach for the 16U male team that's to go to the North American Indigenous Games whenever that occurs. So That's my hobby, being on the floor with these guys.
Awesome. And, we were joking around earlier, you and Caden there seem to have this love-hate relationship. Is that because he threw a ball at you as well?
Yeah, at least one.
At least one.
There's got to be at least one.
I think he stepped on my toes a few times as well.
What a mean kid, eh? Those Calgary kids. Hey, Ella, they're trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Let's ask you, being a female playing in a rough sport like this, we know you play hockey too. I understand you play for the Pandas U18 team, is that correct? U18?
Yeah.
The AAA Pandas up there. So how do you like playing? Like, I'm assuming because you can't hit girls in hockey, right?
Yeah.
So how do you take out your frustrations in lacrosse? Do you enjoy that?
Oh, yeah. I'm really small, so I love when, someone bigger, taller is running down, and they just think they're going to run by me, and I can blow them up.
Nice. Do you think you can take on Caden?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Well, she's getting cocky, Caden. What do you got to say about that, buddy?
I mean, in hockey probably, but lacrosse, that's more my forte.
So, guys, I was reading through your bios. You guys have an awesome background. Both of you look like you have a bright future ahead of both of you. You guys seem to, you've both been playing at very high levels from what my understanding is of lacrosse. Ella, let's talk to you briefly here. What would you say brought you to lacrosse? What intrigued you to want to play?
Well, my two older brothers started playing, and they loved it. My dad loves it. He's coached for a few of our teams, and I don't know, they just got me into it, and then since then haven't stopped playing.
So I noted here on my notes that you started playing since you were 5 years old. What was that?
Yeah, whatever mini tyke was, or tyke.
Yeah. So what was that like? Was that did you get a body check anyone when you were at 5 years old?
I don't know. I don't really remember playing then, but I do remember when I was with all the guys, and one time I went goalie, and they all protected me. It was really funny because I was the only girl playing.
Awesome. Caden, when did you start playing?
Tyke.
Tyke, so same age, around 5, 6 years old?
Yeah.
Awesome. Darrel, at what age, Darrel, can kids actually come out and try lacrosse or even join a team throughout Alberta?
It usually gets started around that 5 years old in our mini tyke program. So it's a very get used to the sport, learn to pass catch. Smaller teams where we really focus on the touches. So generally in that 5, 6 year old areas where they'll get started and get to touch the game.
Nice. What type of introduction is given to the players at that age? Like, obviously they have to come out with a helmet, some pads, I'm assuming. Is it just straight into learning to throw, pass, shoot? Like what other techniques are taught at that young age?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Ella.
Go ahead.
If you want to answer, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, we just learned to like pick up the ball. Number one, chase after it.
So
yeah, there would be a lot of loose ball drills, just picking it up. We'll start with cradling and teach the development skills of pass and catch, and just very basic. Get out, have some fun. So generally speaking, a mini take practice is about, I think it's about an hour in time. It's 30 minutes of teaching a little bit of a skill, and then 30 minutes of just get out and have some fun and play and run back and forth across the floor.
Nice. Caden, what's your fondest memory of playing? Do you have one that just pops out of your head that you really enjoyed the most?
Yeah. I was in Junior Roughnecks. We were in Ontario, and we were short. It was 5-on-4 in overtime, and it was just round robin because we were like the 7th seed in the tournament. We weren't going to the playoffs, but we still wanted to end off the tournament with a win, and we were in overtime. It was 13-13, and we were shorthanded, and I went on the kill down to the end of the floor and stepped on a guy and jumped into the crease and wrapped the ball around the goalie, and it went in, and we ended up winning somehow about it. But
nice.
The one that pops in every time.
Ella, he sounds like a real kind of weirdo, eh? Wrapping around the net. Tell ya. What's your fondest memory, Ella?
I don't know if I really have one, but if I had to pick, probably Team Alberta we made it to the gold medal game, and it was at the end of the game, or actually second period, we started to get really behind. We were not doing good, and then we started to come back, and it was really good. I scored a couple of goals. It was exciting. We didn't end up winning, but
sweet.
So something to get silver.
Darrel, Ella just hit on Team Alberta. What is Team Alberta looking like this year with COVID in place? What measures are you guys going to have to take? Is it even going to happen this year?
That's a great question. There's a lot of unknown out there as to what direction. We're hoping that there will be a national championships in the summer. It's far enough down the road that fingers are crossed so we can start getting back to that level of competition. But for now, in preparation, we've started our camps for both the 17U programs as well as the camp for our 16 and 16U kids that are on the two. So the 17U is focused on the 2004s, potentially 2005 birth years, and then the next year down, the 2005s and 2006 births, in preparation for the return to the Canada Games in two summers from now. So we've started those practices about 2 weeks ago. There'll be it's a 12-week camp that we're starting with, and then from that we'll proceed into team selections. With the hope that everything comes together with COVID and we can have national championships next summer.
How to ask this? What's happening right now behind the scenes with lacrosse in Alberta? Have tryouts already started for players? Has games started? What restrictions have been put in place, if any?
Yeah, so we don't really have any tryouts per se going right now because we don't know what we'd be trying out for. We're still following the direction of Alberta Health and seeing the direction we're going to go with that. Behind the scenes, we're being very inventive and having to be very adaptive to the changing situation. Early in the process, when we had to start canceling our season and making other alternative measures, we would come out with a statement of where we think we were going to next, and then the next day the situation would change with new information from Alberta Health. So we're staying very, very adaptive to what's happening. And, credit to our executive director, Lisa Grant, who's very active with Alberta Health as well as with sport, physical activity and recreation, and just getting the information as quickly as she can, getting it into the hands of our board of directors so we can do our best to put forward any kind of programming at all. With that said, we are blessed that we do have a number of camps that are up and going, and they're following, the 50 cohort restrictions. We have some that are doing the cohort, which allows some physicality and contact. And then we have some others that are doing skills and drills that are doing the 6 foot separation so they can have a little bit bigger and a little bit more flow to their game. So lots of programs going on at our club level. We've got, as well as our Team Alberta camp, and it's working through it. So
nice. That must be keeping you guys busy. That's
yeah,
a lot of work in the background. So Ella, you've been playing since you were a little tyke. You just reading through here says you play field lacrosse as well, and you've played on some winning provincial teams. Do you want to talk about that briefly? Like, what do you like most, playing in the rink and beating people up, or playing outside in field lacrosse and beating people up?
Well, I think I like box more just because, like, you can hit and there's that contact. But, like, in field, there's, like, I think there's a lot more, like, skill and, like, speed involved. And, yeah, for field, I play for Edmonton Razorbacks. And there's only one other team that we get to play from Calgary. And, I don't know, it just kind of swaps every year who wins and loses. It's good.
Oh, cool. So do you guys come down for a weekend, or we come up to visit you, or how does that work?
Yeah, we just swap. We go back and forth, and then one place hosts provincials.
Now, not to put you on the spot here, Ella, but what sport do you like most? Hockey or lacrosse?
I like lacrosse more.
You do?
Yeah.
Nice. Caden, for you, young man, just reading through some of your stuff, you got invited to a 3D STX camp. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah, it was a field lacrosse NCAA Div 1 recruiting camp, and it was a bunch of Americans, some Canadians down there, and we basically just had about 4 days of just really grinding at our positions before we got together and played games against each other for scouts and everything like that.
So was that open opportunities for you to get seen by the colleges and universities?
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Darrel, do we have anything like that in lacrosse for the young ladies to get out there and be seen by NCAA at all, or even youth sport?
Great question. I honestly don't know how the U.S. system works, if they've got the recruiting camps for the ladies as well, but I know we've got a number of organizations up in Canada that will take teams down to various different tournaments down in the States. They'll go down to San Diego. There's some will go down to Salt Lake. Other organizations are taking their teams to the East Coast, to North Carolina, Pennsylvania. So there is opportunity where they are being seen by the NCAA coaches. As far as whether there's that specific recruiting piece, I'm not sure on that one.
Is it what are we doing up here in Alberta to help our prospected players get seen? Is there anything that's happening from your guys' standpoint at Lacrosse Alberta?
So through our Team Alberta programs, they'll get exposure at national championships, as well as we also now have Alberta Lacrosse TV that we're trying to get more up and running and make that available. That's going to be one of the outcomes of COVID, is really trying to make sure that we utilize the tools at our disposal more frequently. We also publish a recruiting handbook just to help the athletes understand what the opportunities are and a little bit of information about how that process will work.
That sounds it sounds like you're obviously taking steps forward to help, especially these two young athletes and many more across Alberta. How many athletes do you guys currently have? Obviously low numbers this year due to COVID, I'm assuming, but what does it look like this year?
This year, it's pretty close to, well, it's not a zero because we did have some registrations through camps and whatnot. But, our last season of competition, we would have had just short of 11,000 athletes, I believe the numbers would be. About a third in Calgary, a third in Edmonton, and then when you talk about the minor age kids, and then you add our junior, senior players, as well as our country teams coming out of Southern Alberta Lacrosse, Central Alberta Lacrosse, and our Wheatland. So we're right in that just short of 11,000 athletes. We're hoping that the retention will survive through the pandemic and the numbers don't take too much of a drop off. But again, it's going to wait and see what kind of a program we can offer and when we can get back to competition.
Yeah, makes sense. Like most sports out there now, you can tell that COVID's obviously having an impact on them. With that in mind, Ella, Caden, what are you guys doing right now to keep your training up? Obviously, you're both playing hockey, you're both playing lacrosse, but let's start with Ella. What are you doing to keep in shape and top peak performance, if you will?
Well, I'm in Vimy Lacrosse, so I do that every day. We work out, play for 2 hours a day. Also, yeah, my hockey, and then sometimes I'll go and work out in my basement by myself.
Dude, do you have like a treadmill and everything?
We have like I don't know what it's called, but it has like stuff
The
for
elliptical?
everybody. It's not that.
Caden, what do you got? What do you do, man?
Well, while everything was shut down, I would just work out in my basement. I have free weights, and I would just do what I can with them. And then when gyms started opening up, I started working out at the gym again every morning. I'd go before school, just lift some weights. And then now that more things are starting to open up, I'm starting to train with friends now and open up to more things like that. And
now, both of you two have played competitive sports, I'm assuming your whole lives. Through playing lacrosse, have you guys gained any knowledge or respect or anything you can pass on to young boys and girls that are watching our show today? What would you guys say is, like, what intrigued you guys to play? Why did you want to play? And what could you pass on to the younger generation? Let's start with you, Ella.
Well, I don't really know. What intrigued me was just like it's a really competitive game. It's really exciting, high pace. Yeah. Sorry.
Is mom distracting you again, Ella?
Oh yeah.
Just throw the ball at her.
And both my brothers.
They're just jealous, Ella. It's okay.
I know.
We'll have to do another interview about hockey with you, Ella, just to embarrass them even more.
Oh, perfect.
So what would you say, Ella, to any young lady who's watching today? You know, what brought you to lacrosse? What's fun about it? And do you think they should join?
I don't really know. I like every aspect of it. Like, don't love running, but the running's fun. Just getting to play with your teammates. You meet people every year. The tournaments are always fun. You got to be in the hotel with all your teammates. Yeah, I don't really know.
Caden, what about you, man?
For me, well, I started just by looking up at my brother. He started playing it, and I thought, well, hey, he's enjoying it. I thought I would. So I gave it a shot, and I enjoyed it. I've made lifelong friends there, friends that I'll hopefully be friends with for a lot longer. And beating people off the pool is so fun.
Awesome. All right, guys, we got to pause here for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Darrel and getting some more input and information from him about Lacrosse, Alberta. We'll let our two special guests take off. And when we come back, we'll be talking to him, like I said, about more technical stuff, behind the scenes, and get some more cool jazz from him. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. And welcome back. We got Darrel now all by himself, so we can really grind him and get some information out of him. Darrel, again, thanks very much for setting this up with those two young ones. I wish them all the best, and I hope they actually get to play lacrosse this season and take advantage of it. Obviously, with COVID in mind, with the uncertainty that's happening, what are you guys looking to do for next season? Like snow on the ground now, or it's coming soon? Are you guys going to try to play more field games, or do what they do with soccer, play in an outdoor arena?
Yeah, it's we're trying to find out all the different options right now and see where we're going. We've got a little bit of time. Generally our season won't get started till the end of till April. So teams will start trying selections end of February, going into April to start competition. But we're holding out hope that we will be able to have some kind of league play. But we've instituted other unique ways of playing the game instead of maybe the traditional 5-on-5, looking at some 4-on-4s, some 3-on-3s, different ways to get the kids out and on the floor, sticks in the hands, playing. It's so unknown right now what it's going to look like. The best we can do is put plans together and hope that one way or another we're playing lacrosse of some form. Generally with field, that's something that will get going for us, generally speaking, end of July after the box season ends. So again, looking at different alternatives, and then we'll see what that looks like when time comes that we can get back out playing.
Throughout our interviews, you guys have mentioned box and field. Is there obviously big differences? One's a large field, the other one's a hockey, basically a hockey, like a soccer, indoor soccer field.
Yeah.
Do you see the numbers fluctuate on those two? Is there more for box? Is there more for field? Is it about the same?
No, I would suggest that the bulk of our numbers are playing in the indoor box game. The summer field is competing with all the different outdoor activities you can do during the summer, including going to the cabin and boating and all that other fun stuff. So we're every year trying to grow that number of the outdoor, and we're putting effort into trying to figure out what that can look like and working with our different team partners to really grow that field lacrosse aspect. And it kind of has two seasons too, where you have the summer where it's play a little bit of inter-club games where we've got teams in Calgary and Red Deer and Lacombe, Panoka have a blended team, Edmonton. So there's teams around. We do what we call field days. So it's not as it's doing our best to try to get the kids to develop and grow in that sport as well. And I refer to them; they're the same sport, but they are definitely different. There's nuances of both that are very unique to both as well.
Yeah. Through the challenges, are the teams blended at the younger age levels, or do you try to separate them right from the get-go? So like in hockey here, across Alberta, it's usually in Timbits, you have boys and girls, and then as they get older, they kind of spread out and girls go different way because the boys are getting a little bit stronger. Is that the same with lacrosse?
It's a little bit of a mixed bag on that. In Calgary, we have dedicated, I believe it's mini tyke and novice. They'll be more blended after you get into the Pee-wee. Sorry, I should use the proper terminology now with the age groups. I apologize for that. But as you get into the older groups, and they do separate into predominantly male and female teams, but we do have some females that will play on the male teams, and they'll mix match. In Calgary, we do have Calgary female lacrosse as well that the players will go to. But even in Edmonton, they will have female teams as well that they'll play. So again, that generally happens at that. I got to remember what the right age group is now.
Probably U13.
Yeah, I think it would be U12. I think
yeah.
we're on even numbers for most of the age groups.
For anyone that's watching today, what is really involved from a parent standpoint? Like hockey, we got to buy pads, shoulder pads, helmets, skates, like what's in it for lacrosse? If someone's watching today, what are they looking at? They got to spend. What would they need to buy to get their child into the sport?
Right. So our basic equipment is obviously a helmet with a face shield. You'll have shoulder pads that have kind of an upper body protection on them. We have kidney pads. Part of our game does have legal cross checking that, so we have kidney pads to protect that area. Your protective cup as well, and we call them slash guards or elbow pads that they'll wear, and then gloves. And a mouth guard. Got to have them.
Yeah.
But as far from other than that, we're in shorts and running shoes.
Nice.
Unless you wish to be a goalie, which we'd love to welcome out guys to be goalies. And in a lot of cases with the goalies, clubs will have some of the gear that they can utilize, so they don't have to necessarily go make the full investment in goalie gear.
How many clubs are through Alberta? Like if I live in Fort McMurray, is there a club up here that I can join? Or if I'm in Athabasca or Grand Prairie, what does it look like throughout Alberta?
There are lots of clubs. I would say there's roughly about 80 clubs across Alberta that range anywhere right from Crozes Pass up to, I believe Fort McMurray does have lacrosse. Grand Prairie does have some lacrosse. It's a growing market for us. It's that we need to work and continue to develop there. Right out to Lloydminster, Medicine Hat. So it's all over Alberta. We do have some pockets where we want to grow the game and get a little stronger, but it's a developing game for sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys host come try it games like hockey and soccer? Have the show up, come try it, see if you like it. Do you guys do that as well throughout Alberta?
Yeah, a lot of our member clubs will do that. But we also try to get into schools, and we'll work with our educational partners to get in and do a demo day at schools, and we invite schools to participate in that and reach out, and we'll work with them and try to expose that through that way as well. But our member clubs do a really good job of introducing the kids to the game and getting them out and making it fun for them.
Yeah, fun is definitely the thing that needs to come out of anything. You got to enjoy it and want to be there, or you're just not going to have fun. Tournaments, stuff like that. What happens here in Alberta? Is it large tournaments? Do we have like Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario joining us? I recall earlier you had mentioned that some of the teams do travel east. What do we have out here on the west?
So when we talk about box lacrosse specifically, a lot of the clubs will host their own tournaments. Some of the teams will travel out to tournaments in BC and try to compete out there with the various lacrosse clubs that have strong lacrosse in BC for sure. I know some teams have traveled up to Saskatoon, where Saskatchewan is really growing and getting stronger in lacrosse, and it's emerging. But in Alberta here, a lot of our clubs will host their own, and generally speaking, they're all interprovincial teams. From time to time, we will get a team coming out of Saskatchewan or BC to participate in most of them. We do have in Calgary on the July 1st long weekend the Canada Day tournament, and that's actually an international tournament where we will have teams from the States will come up, Denver Elite, Los Angeles come up to participate. We've had European teams come into that. Ontario, quite a few different teams will travel into that one, and that one gets to be kind of a selection process where the teams will apply for participation, and then there'll be a selection through that.
Throughout a player's career in lacrosse, how many games would they play? Like, what's a regular season look like?
So, yeah, regular season is about 12 league games. We'll play a couple exhibition games, and then depending on tournaments, you could play another, dozen to 15, and then a couple playoff games, depending on what provincial looks like. So, I think 22 to 28 games, starting mid-April and finishing up July 1st for the box. And then when we get out into the field, it's maybe not quite as many. We'll have, I think there's 4 game days, Saturday, Sunday weekends that'll go to, field days they're called. And at that, they'll play 3 or 4 games a weekend at that as well. So if they choose to play on the field side, which, it's a fun game outdoor as well. So there's lots of opportunity for them to play and get some good exercise.
A question I've been dying to ask you. How do you get to hit in the cross? I remember when Edmonton had the Edmonton Rush. Now they're the, I believe, just called Saskatchewan Rush.
Correct, yeah.
I loved going to those games. Loved it. So at what age do these young guys and girls, like Ella that we just had on, when does hitting start? Like, I would love to get my aggression out and play lacrosse. So what does it look like? And when do they start that? And maybe answer how long through the process, like the training, is there any training involved in that?
Yeah, so I think the actual hitting piece, I believe, is at the U12 or 12U, pardon me. But prior to that, we play what's called place and push, so they can put their stick on and direct the player. So we do have contact, earlier ages, but the actual, as we want to call it, hitting would happen, basically in that 12U and up. But even at that, it's not the same type of hitting generally as what you would see in hockey. Like for lacrosse, better defense is footwork and body position, but there's contact for sure, and the kids love it when they do get that big hit. But different than hockey too is generally as you're going to throw a hit, you want to stop your feet to brace yourself, even when you're throwing the hit. But in hockey, you're still moving. In lacrosse, when you stop your feet, you stop. So
yeah,
there can be some big impacts, but it's very rare that there's that big, massive hit but the kids still look for it.
So you got me on that one. Everyone loves to hit.
Yeah.
So I understand that you actually coach Caden down in Calgary. What training's involved with him? Like, is it I'm assuming that there's more spotlight on the male programs and the female programs. I'm just assuming. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. But what's different between the two other than girls and boys?
Really, there's not. Since the inception of Calgary Field Lacrosse, or pardon, not Calgary Field, but Calgary Girls Lacrosse, they're getting as much training and coaching and focus as any of the other clubs are doing. As far as training, it's generally a practice or 2 a week. We generally will have a fairly long preseason from when teams are selected to when they get playing. So lots of time for coaches to institute their systems and their defenses and the way they want to structure their offense and transitions. With Caden, I've been an assistant coach with him. I haven't had the pleasure to head coach, but he's a guy that is just ready to go, and he's very active throughout the whole process, and he's a joy to watch. So generally speaking, our training is going to be more systems and structure with a little bit of fitness put into it. We've got a really short window. Like I said, we play maybe up to 22 games, but that 22 games is in 10, 12 weeks. So it's not a big, long time that we have with the athletes.
Would you like to see more emphasis on schools having lacrosse programs? Like we have in hockey, a lot of hockey schools that are out there throughout Alberta. And I know a few up in Edmonton with Vimy. Vimy has a program. I think Calgary has 2 programs with National Sports Academy and another one. But I guess what would you like to see moving forward in years to come? Like, do you think lacrosse is going to grow and we're going to see that, or would you like to see that implemented now to give the kids another avenue?
It's a great question. Like, we love having kids with sticks in their hands and developing their skills and strength, and right from grassroots up and trying to find those opportunities. We look for partner programs that work with us and help develop the sport, as well as work with our club teams as well. So I think fundamentally there's a lot of room for growth in lacrosse. We just need to do it in a proper partnership way and work together to find those opportunities. whether that's in school or other means, that's a great future to look forward to, is where we find enough value and enough athletes that it adds value to a school to attract these athletes to their facilities for the schooling piece.
Mm-hmm. So, last question that I can think of that would be relevant to a parent looking at the sport, cost-wise, is it fairly expensive, or is it kind of in the middle, or is it like hockey where we're literally taking out third mortgages on our homes?
Well, it's a very subjective conversation because value is to the beholder, right? Like I know what we invest into lacrosse every year, and it has its cost for sure. As I would say, more than likely it's in that middle of the road piece. But again, it's a shorter season. So, but the floor time, the equipment, the equipment would be not a big investment. Like even, when I laid out all that equipment, if your son or daughter is playing hockey, they've got over half of it already, right? So no, it's not as inexpensive as shorts and a muscle shirt to play basketball and a jersey. And I don't mean to sound like that's meaning basketball. I came up through the basketball as well. I love the sport. So it's not just shorts and a shirt, but it's not massive equipment either. Registration fees, it depends on the team wanting to go to tournaments. It depends on how many extra floor times practices you want. That would be one of the biggest things is just finding that affordable floor time and having the kids out playing the game.
Mm-hmm. So, future looking down the road, your position within Lacrosse Alberta, what would you like to see 10 years down the road? What do you envision lacrosse looking like, especially for Ella and Caden at their age? They're probably moving on in the next 2 to 3 years. So as they get older, maybe they're kids. But what would you like to see in 10 years down the road for lacrosse?
I want to see a really good, strong grassroots development program where we have options for those that want to play the game. Really want to change the conversation from it being a rough sport to it's a physical sport. It really, when it's played well and we have strong players, it is physical, but it's quite fun to watch. It's basketball. It's basketball with a little bit more physicality, and it's fun to watch. So what I would love to see the game continue to grow. 2 of the last 3 midget national championships, or 16U they were previously called, they're going to 17U. Alberta beat Ontario in the finals, and having the opportunity to host the 2018 games here and watching the final game, just that level of competition and excitement that was in the crowd, watching these kids that are sitting there just getting ready to be the next one, and finding more ways to get those young kids into mini take, and then keep the kids as they get older and give them an opportunity to play right through their junior and into senior careers. We have an opportunity to really grow and be truly lacrosse is our summer national sport, and we have the opportunity to grow it and get stronger. And it's just going to take a lot of people with vision, where it's going to take some different avenues to help fund it and find ways to get more kids with a stick in their hand and trying it.
Very, very true. It's I think it's a great sport. I loved watching it up in Edmonton when the Rush was there. It's definitely my daughter wanted to play, but her head was more tilted towards the hockey. Yeah. And to try to get her to do lacrosse, she was just focused on hitting.
Well, it's a great crossover sport though too for those hockey. Like, you don't have to look very deep into the superstars of the NHL that have a background in lacrosse. Wayne Gretzky, current day Sean Monahan. There's lots of players out there, and that's just obviously a quick 2 at the top of my mind. But a lot of them come where their summer training was lacrosse. You think about it, it's one thing to skate up and down a sheet of ice, but go run up and down that. I always joke, because I had an opportunity where we had a camp, and the last day of camp before Christmas, we had the instructors against the kids, and we always talk about in hockey, they talk about 30-second shifts. In lacrosse, we talk about going up, down, and off.
Yeah.
Well, when I was playing, I would go up or down and off. It's a trip up and down that floor.
Oh yeah, it definitely would be. Darrel, thanks very much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. I hope to see lacrosse grow more in Alberta and become, a staple of Alberta. And I wish you guys all the best. And I hope I hope we get rid of that soon enough to get you guys back out there. So, Darrel, thanks again for joining us today on Alberta Primetime Alberta Sports Show. Everyone, we will be back next week. We'll see all of you then. Thanks very much for joining us. Take care.